Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So it turns out there was actually a directions hearing held late at night to see if we could push this Novak Djokovic situation any further. Well, it turns out it's looking more likely that the decision the government just took to revoke Djokovic's visa will be upheld and he will be deported. I'm going to break down a few things that were in this hearing tonight, which a lot of people were watching, about 45,000 people. The directions hearing doesn't resolve the matter. It just sets out the next steps for what will happen to Novak. That's what it's doing now. So what happened? They determined that the decision on his visa cancellation may be taken to the federal court, which I'll show you has just been announced, and that he will be detained at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. He'll be allowed to visit his lawyers for the purposes of preparing his case and then back into detention for Saturday night. There will be ABF guards, so Australian Border Force guards, accompanying him while he is out of detention facilities. So the matter will be transferred to the federal court. However, it isn't Australian law season yet. It starts in February and it's still January 14th. So the matter would have to be heard by a duty judge. Now, duty judges deal with really urgent matters. And the other reason for the judge's reluctance for sending it to the federal court was that the courts aren't running at full capacity yet because as I said, they don't really start officially till February, so not everything's 100%. It looks like it's just been transferred to a federal court, which Novak Djokovic's lawyers aren't too happy with. So during the federal court hearing, which will be on Sunday, it says Djokovic may continue in detention from 9 a.m. on Sunday, the 16th of January at his solicitor's offices. Now, he is scheduled to play in the first round of the Australian Open on Monday, but I don't see this getting resolved by then unless the way it does get resolved is that the federal court sides with the government and the immigration minister's decision to revoke his visa and Djokovic will be deported. That's what I believe could happen, most likely to happen, because I don't see them overturning the government's decision in a federal court by Monday. Now, in regards to detention, you have to ask, why does the government just not detain him right now? Because the act that the federal government actioned requires that he go into detention when they cancel his visa. So as soon as they cancel your visa, you're supposed to be, that's it, taken into detention and deported promptly, because there's a legal case going on and they took their time. They took at least, I think it was 4 days that the government and the immigration minister took to actually cancel his visa for a second time. So they waited around for days. People were getting angry. Nothing was happening. So they do it on a Friday night and it's kind of a slap in the face to do it on that time. But a couple of reasons why they wouldn't go and detain him right now. One, he's not an imminent flight risk because he wants to stay in Melbourne and compete in the Open. So he wouldn't leave the state or the country. So they are trusting that he'll turn up to the attorney's building tomorrow where he'll be detained at 8 a.m. It also gives the government the optics of being gracious by giving him an extra night of freedom and not detaining him at 10, 11 p.m. or 12 in the morning dead at night. So he'll be detained tomorrow instead of late night Friday night. Here's what Novak's lawyers argued. They said the government weren't basing their delayed decision on the public health risk he would pose because that was already sorted in the previous hearing. But they said the government's decisions were able to raise, quote, the excitement in the anti-vax community. Because what we've seen is that everyone is going after Novak for not being vaccinated. And what the government did is they whipped that up. That's what his lawyers said. They whipped up the anti-vax sentiment because the government's been saying he's not vaccinated, he can't come in. I don't know how this has happened. We're going to fight this tooth and nail. And now I'll show you a few tweets of people, what they've been saying about him. Here we go. Djokovic will be the villain of the piece. He'll provoke boos and hisses from the audience like at a pantomime or professional wrestling. Should have got a vaccine in 2020 like the rest of us, working tirelessly in the NHS. Are you British? Nonsense exemption rules being quoted and sending a very negative anti-vax message to many millions. Very poor show. Here we go. So another one who's against, quote, anti-vaxxers. Who would want to be his opponent in the first draw? Who wants to play with the tennis balls he handles? So unfair to the ones who follow the rules. That's the whole argument. We followed the rules. I've seen people all over the world want to speak for me as an Australian, saying people in Australia have had some of the harshest lockdown measures. They've faced some of the worst things through this whole pandemic. It's not right that Novak Djokovic can just walk in and do what he wants. I don't care. I want him to play. Before I heard that he incorrectly filled out his travel documents, I was on his side. And then when I also saw that, well, this relates to the travel documents, that he traveled back to Serbia and then back to Spain when he was supposed to be in Spain for 2 weeks before he came to Australia. Now, that's a different issue because he did incorrectly fill out travel documents, it does give the government an incentive to take that to court, and then the maximum penalty for that is 12 months in prison. So there's one thing. But all these people that are speaking for me as an Australian saying, you've had it the hardest, why is he allowed in? Well, that's what they've been deciding, because there's been a bunch of different rules that have come out and said he should be allowed to because of the ATAGI guidance, and then he should be allowed to because he's had independent medical panels approve his entry into Australia, one by Tennis Australia and one by the Victorian state government. But when it comes to the federal government, if you're not double vaxxed, you can't come in. That's apparently what they said. Even though we have, how many vaccinated players right now in the Australian Open have caught COVID? We've had Bernard Tomic, Aussie. We've got Nick Kyrgios, another Aussie. And who just previously had COVID, but he got into the country? Oh, Rafael Nadal. Look at this. Fingers crossed he gets knocked out in the first round. As a Victorian, this is a massive slap in the face. He's shown no regard to anyone but himself. The quicker he's on a plane out of Australia, the better. If you've taken the time, sir, to go get vaccinated, you're protected. He has no threat to you. Isn't that it? You're the one that's got the vaccine. You're the one that's protected. How is he a threat to you? But let's not get into vaccine issues here, because clearly the people who are vaccinated, like I just said, tennis players, well, they just caught COVID. So it obviously helps, doesn't it, stop the spread. All right, so this is from The Guardian. They had a breakdown of what's going on. Djokovic is to serve as soon as is reasonably practical an originating application and affidavit attaching Alex Hawke's reasons and submissions for decision. So the reasons why the immigration minister cancelled the visa. The minister will not take any step to remove Djokovic from Australia, so they are not allowed to deport him while all these hearings are still going on. Djokovic will attend an interview at 8 a.m. Saturday, which is 9 hours about, with immigration officials. Then he'll be supervised by border force officers from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday at his solicitor's offices. That's to get their legal case in order. Djokovic may continue in detention from 9 a.m. Sunday at his solicitor's offices. So that's where we're at right now with Novak Djokovic's situation. We'll see what happens on Sunday with this hearing, and whether or not he'll be deported from Australia and will not be competing in the Australian Open, and with a chance to win his 21st Grand Slam title, which would make him the most winning Grand Slam champion of all time. It's been a roller coaster, this one. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, share this video out there, and I'll see you guys in the next one.